Hey guys, it's me Astrid, and today I want to talk to you about something new and unusual, and that is why I practice tarot cards. Now, this is a little personal for me. I don't talk with this about everybody, but who better to talk to than with strangers on the internet? So I've written something up. It's down here on my laptop. If you see me glancing down a lot, it's because I'm reading. And I also wanted to say before we get started that I'm going to talk about some difficulties I've had with religion, but I don't want anyone to think that I am denigrating or demonizing anybody's beliefs. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm just explaining what was difficult for me. So yeah, and I would really appreciate if you guys wanted to join me and listen to my story. It means a lot. Let's get started. So I was raised to be a good little Christian girl. I went to a private religious school where I was bullied by little Christian girls until 6th grade, and I identified as a Christian probably till I was 17. The version of Christianity that I was exposed to hurt me pretty badly. It was cold, it was hateful, it was uncaring, it was judgmental. It fetishized life, but didn't care for living people, and it taught me to harass my science teachers for trying to teach us evolution. It had no room for queer people. There were no people of color in the church I was raised in. It kept women in abusive relationships stuck with their husbands because getting a divorce was seen as wrong and kind of frowned upon. They weren't made to stay, but there was judgment going on. It also taught me that billions of people on this planet, though they may have been good, honest people, were destined to go to hell, which doesn't jive with me. I dabbled a few times with witchcraft when I was in high school because I had my little goth phase. And something interesting that I learned when I was playing around with being a Wiccan or whatever I was reading about was that, people who do witchcraft or whatever, they're not casting spells to levitate objects or to force the material world to bend to their will. They're doing a spiritual practice, which I didn't realize at the time that this is a spiritual practice, but they're doing rituals to open their hearts up to opportunities and to set themselves up for success. They're you can't just cast a spell and expect someone to call you with a job offer tomorrow. You have to go do the legwork. This is just a ritual that helps. So that was interesting, but just like everything else in my goth phase, I just put it aside when I put aside all of that with my other religious views. In many ways, my religious upbringing damaged me quite a lot. I rejected the concept of God near the end of high school, and I became this hardline, Dawkins-loving atheist. By the way, I got to meet Richard Dawkins and shake his hand, and even though he's a turd, I still think that's cool. But I was that typical atheist that was the Bible's full of contradictions, and the Bible is stupid, and people who believe the Bible, how smart can they be? Really annoying, right? But at the core of that, I really rejected any and all spirituality because I saw it as weak, narrow-minded, and presumptuous to believe in anything beyond what we can measure and see. Moreover, I now realize that my upbringing didn't really teach me spirituality. It just taught me religiosity. It just taught me to be a religious person. I didn't feel a connection with my creator or my immortal consciousness. I just felt punished and judged and scared into obedience. Being an empathetic person, though, I couldn't really look at every person in the world, billions of people, and see these people finding solace in their religion and call them stupid. I couldn't really just tell someone that their faith that gives them meaning and community and purpose, their faith that allows them to reconcile with the fact that one day we will all die, is wrong. Through the course of my 20s, I underwent this transformation of my heart and mind away from this stupid militant atheism. A lot of stuff happened. But the biggest change for me in my 20s, I think, and the one that caused the biggest impact on me was losing my dad about 3 years ago. I watched my dad die, and I felt the immense weight of knowing that I would need to go forward in my life without this person who'd always been there. I had to think of my dad's lifeless body being cremated and dissembled into its constituent parts of ash, and I, in my mind, thought I had to accept that my dad is gone forever, and when you die, you are either burned up or buried in the ground and you become worm food. That's what I thought. That's all I thought. But strangely, after my dad died, I felt his presence in ways that I can't deny, in ways that I can't just wave my hand at and say, that's coincidence. Coincidences happen all the time. You can't assign meaning to this stuff. No, I felt my dad. I know that my dad guided me to live in this specific house where I'm living in now. I know that my dad has been around me in many ways. And now I've become kind of like, I believe in what I like to call, which is offensive to some people, but dead people magic. Because I don't think that our loved ones are really gone when they die. Now that I've felt my dad, I've changed my tune. And I've even felt the presence of like my childhood cat a couple times. Like you can feel people's love even after they're gone. And so it opened my mind to a lot of new ideas that I wouldn't have listened to before had I not experienced the things that I experienced. And then there's other stuff that's a little too personal to get into that also like made me think maybe there's things that I don't understand and I don't need to be so pig-headed about it, but whatever. This all might sound really dramatic, but this is my story and I think it's really important to share. It was only last summer that I really became curious about tarot cards. I had always wondered about them, and I dabbled with the occult in high school, but I never really took a good look. I just kind of chalked it up with like crystals and Ouija boards and all that demon shit that my upbringing said, don't touch that or demons will go in your house, But the imagery in tarot cards just fascinated me. It was beautiful and it drew me in. I wanted to be able to read my fortune too, and be a cool witch, and have cool witch knowledge, so why not give it a try? The very first deck that I got was this deck called Cat Tarot. It's really, really cute. It's hollow on the front, holographic. It's got these little sneaky kitties on the side, and it's just really beautiful. And with cards like the Hanged Man, which looks just like my cat Albert, the Devil being portrayed by a golden retriever, and Death being portrayed by a vacuum cleaner, like I couldn't pass this deck up. It's incredibly cute. Like every single card in this deck is just full of sweet little kitties. I love this deck. But this deck was like warm and it was friendly and it resonated with me really well, and it was a good into tarot. And if you ever want to get into tarot decks, you don't have to get any particular deck. Just get the one that resonates with you. Get the one that you feel like you like the most. And that's what you should learn with. Of course, y'all know if you practice tarot that you can't just have one deck. Like if you already have tarot, you know that I have like 17 decks now. Not really, I have like 5, but I have a lot of decks. In collecting my many different tarot decks, I learned that a lot of my friends actually read tarot cards too. I was really, really surprised to find that a bunch of my girlfriends already do it. And I was really pleasantly surprised to find that there is a community out there who practices tarot, and that I don't have to feel stupid or weird for pursuing reading tarot cards, which is something that I was really afraid of. Now, all of that said, let us talk about the actual experience of tarot cards. So Tarot 101 is that the tarot deck has 78 cards, and 22 are the major arcana, more powerful cards that have more powerful imagery, and it has 56 minor arcana cards that go from ace to 10, and then it has a page, knight, queen, and king. So it's very similar to playing cards, and I've read around the internet that playing cards that we use today are actually based on tarot decks. Like that was the OG playing cards. Who knows? It's hard to find actual history about it. The minor arcana are divided into cups, wands, pentacles, and swords, and they represent emotions, inspiration, the material world, and the intellect, respectively. Each card represents a human archetype, which is to say, each card represents a state of being that every person has felt or is very likely to feel. That's what makes them so relatable, and it's likely what's given them their staying power. Just like most other works of art that withstand the test of time, tarot cards show us a window into our hearts and our minds. They're a powerful reflection of the human experience. In fact, the imagery in tarot cards has been around so long, and it's so powerful that once you become familiar with the cards, you will begin seeing the imagery everywhere. And sometimes it's just because the archetypes in tarot cards are so universal that it's natural that the art would be independently recreated, and other times it's because people were inspired by the art in the tarot cards to make their own art. And sometimes you see it in weird stuff like ads or on wine bottles or in cartoons, and it's funny where it pops up once you know to look for it. Speaking of these archetypes, let's look at some of these cards. So here's one of my favorite cards. This is the Four of Cups. This is the Smith-Waite Centennial deck. It has different coloring than the Rider-Waite deck. There's a whole thing, but let's just look at the card. So we've all been this guy, right? He's sitting here looking at these beautiful cups. He's still cranky, and a magical hand is literally popping out of the air, offering him another cup, and he's just like, no. And this card is here to say, like, you can have all the opportunities in the world, but if you're gonna be a cranky pants about it, you're not gonna be able to take advantage of them. Like this card, it comes up and I laugh every time I get it because I'm like, yeah, I guess I'm doing that, But this card, here's an experience you've probably felt. Then we've got the Seven of Wands. This is the card that I like to call the having internet arguments card, because this dude, he's taking these wands, which represent creativity and inspiration, right? And he's just like beating off a bunch of sticks that are in front of him, and he's so busy doing that he couldn't even put on matching shoes. And I think of this card when I'm about to write some snarky comment online and send it and be like, who am I actually fighting with, and why am I wasting my energy on this? This card is part of, this card, a lot of people don't know what to say or think about it, but that's what I think about it. And it's cool because if you look at this card, you can write your own story about it. Tarot is really personal, and it's a deeply personal practice, so each card is going to come to have its own meaning for you, but we can all look at this image and relate to some aspect of it. And then I'll show you guys my favorite card. This is the Strength card. This card shows a woman gently and lovingly taming a lion, because being truly strong isn't about brute force, it's about knowing when to be gentle. So this lion can represent your inner demons, or your anxiety, or your aggressiveness, or your inner fight, like this, I want to go, I want to fight. And this woman represents you as well. She represents the calm, tranquil, loving, nurturing side of yourself that can take those emotions that are a part of you, that are not bad, that don't need to be gotten rid of, and just lovingly soothe them so that you can peacefully coexist with your nurturing side and your fight side. Like, that's beautiful. And I think of this card all the time when I have anxiety, when I'm frustrated, when I'm being cranky and ridiculous. Like, this card is the one that resonates with me the most of the time. I love the Strength card. I could go on because I love so many of these cards, but you get the point, right? These cards cover a broad spectrum of situations and emotions. The best part about tarot is how personal the practice is. While you should probably start with a traditional deck and some guidebooks, you don't have to. You can get them and make up your own stories and use your intuition to come up with your own meanings for the cards and your own way of using them. That's really important. Also, did you just hear that word? The word intuition. Intuition is what is at the heart of tarot practice. Intuition is you trusting your mind to interpret things in ways that make sense to you. It's you looking for meaning in things. It's you interpreting. It's you going with your gut, basically. That's at the heart of practicing tarot. Tarot cards may or may not be magical and tell us the future, depending on who you ask, but what they do is they ask us to hone our intuition and look at parts of ourselves and others that we might not have looked at through traditional and normal ways of thinking. I read tarot cards for myself almost every day, especially when I'm having a hard time, because they help me to draw out ideas from like my subconscious mind that I wouldn't normally have considered. They allow me to piece out my feelings and stuff and look at my problems and stuff through a different lens. Sometimes I can read tarot cards with other people who really like them, and we can talk out an issue for like hours, just pulling card after card and talking about how it fits in the issue and talking about how it comes into play, and it helps us work through things together, and it's led to some of the most wonderful, rich conversations I've had in the last few months. Studying tarot has given me a spiritual practice that suits my needs in a way that nothing else has. It is simple, it is compact, it is highly adaptable to change, and what we need more than anything is something that adapts to change, because that's the only constant in our lives. Beyond the psychological aspects of tarot reading, I've also felt an uncanny strangeness of these particularly on-point readings that make me feel like something beyond random chance is influencing cards that I've read. Sometimes I draw cards and I feel like the deck is making fun of me, like when it gives me a Four of Cups. Other times I have been going through a really hard time, and multiple different decks will consistently give me the Star card, the card of hope, the card of inspiration, the card that says to me is a symbol that everything's going to be all right. It's, might sound like woo, but for me that's really real, and it's an authentic experience, and it's important to me. I practice tarot because it connects me to my inner self. I practice tarot because it makes me feel a stronger connection to my inner feminine and strengthens my intuition. It makes me feel like a cool little witch lady. I practice tarot because it's fun and the art is inspiring and beautiful. I practice tarot as a daily meditation with my tea. And I practice tarot to quiet my mind and separate myself from the stresses of social media and the news and the overstimulation in our general lives. Thank you guys so much for listening to me. I really appreciate that you took the time to hear my story and my feelings. If you like this video, I will definitely do more tarot videos. I've considered doing some tarot readings on my ASMR channel, but we'll see how that goes. I can't overcommit myself. Take care. Happy growing. I love you guys, and have a wonderful day.